Of course, we have Mr. Raul Reyes.
Present.
We have Mr. John Beckelheimer. Dr. Gaskins.
Present.
Ms. Angie Tellez.
Present.
Mr. Roberto Tellez.
Present.
Ms. Jackie Lynn Hinojosa. And Ms. Daniela Salapaz. Mr. Chairman, you do have quorum.
Thank you, Edgar. If we could put up the minutes, I can see it. It's a little blurry. Let's see if I can zoom in.
Yes, so we need the approval of minutes. We sent them out last week on Friday.
Were there any corrections or recommendations to staff in regards to the minutes from the committee members?
I have none for my part, and I'll go ahead and move to approve the minutes as presented.
It's been moved by Mr. Reyes to approve the minutes as read. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Angie Theus.
It's been seconded by Committee Woman Ms. Days. If there's no further discussion, I'll go ahead and move to the previous question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed signify by saying nay. The minutes have been approved.
At the moment, we have no citizen comments. We still have some minutes left.
We can revisit that in 12 minutes if we can continue on with the agenda items.
Agenda item number 5 is discussion with possible action on the review of applications and scores for third-party funding, hotel, motel, and general fund applications fiscal year 2021-2022.
We can go ahead and open up discussion on the proposed average score, the review of the average scores for the hotel motel. I believe you have those available for us.
Correct. Let me go ahead and share that content. So these are the scores out of the whole 7 committee members. That's the average score that we tallied.
I believe for our requirements, if they score less than a 70, they are disqualified. Is that correct, Edgar?
Correct.
Okay, I don't see any that have scored less than, so I would entertain a motion to accept the requested amounts as petition.
I I second that motion.
Okay, then I can make that as a motion. I know I can, but I usually try not to. But if there's a second,
I'll make a motion
we can make Mr. Gaskins second. We can make Mr. Gaskins the motioner, and if there's a second, we can have that as a second.
Did someone second that motion, Mr.
I'm not sure. I think I went in and out. I think I lost connectivity and then I came back.
Okay, so the motion was made by Dr. Gaskins, I'm sorry.
Yes, there was a motion by Dr. Gaskins. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Mrs. Reyes. So there's been a motion and a second to accept the hotel motel recommendation, or to send the hotel recommendation as read. If there is any discussion? If there's no discussion, we can go ahead and move to the previous question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. All right. I think the next might be the mental scoring. Did everybody turn those in?
I have a question. sorry.
Yes, Miss Hinojosa de Leon?
Okay, so I just joined, so
Yes, ma'am. The previous discussion item was the hotel motel tax. And as we reviewed the scoring, there was no application that scored less than 70. So there was a motion by Dr. Gaskins to accept the proposed request, and it was seconded by Mrs. Thayes. And so we moved to the previous question, and there was no opposition, so the motion passed.
okay. I just wanted to know what was going on.
No worries.
Thank
Yes,
you.
that was the only action, and we also did approve the minutes from the last meeting per action, and that was all that you had missed, Ms. Hinojosa.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we'll go ahead and move on to the I think El Metro score sheets.
Yes, I just want to let the record know that Ms. Jackie Hinojosa is present.
Yes, please count her present.
Okay, now we go with agenda item number 6, and we have discussion with possible action on the review and scoring of the FTA Section 5310 application from El Metro. We did not receive all this. This is the average score that we got with only 2 submissions of scores. So we are still pending 5 committee members to submit their scores.
Okay. Are any of those persons present currently?
Yeah. Yeah, so we do have. So we have the scores for.
So we've only received scores from Mr. Reyes and Ms. Angie Thayes.
Okay, I had sent mine off earlier today. I know Edgar had called me up and asked me. Let me see if that email didn't get sent through. But I'm willing to submit my scores for the record on the meeting if we can. And if there's any other member that hasn't, they can also submit their scores if that's acceptable.
Yes, it is. You can definitely disclose the score right now. We can enter it into the record, and y'all can motion to approve if any other member would like to include the scores also. Correct.
I have a question regarding that.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Hinojosa.
I would not recommend that since this is an open meeting and then you would be disclosing the way you scored. I would suggest that we could submit it via email.
Ma'am, Ms. Hinojosa, just so you know, I have no problem disclosing my scores as far as El Metro or any of the other organizations. Just for the record, it is open record policy as far as any applicee, any person that submits an application, if they request an open records a record request, they can get the physical scores that we submit. This is a committee that's open to open records requests, and our scores are available, regardless if we choose not to disclose them in this open meeting or whether they go through the proper channels and request it through an application.
Yes, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yes.
I think like me, I'd rather do submit not be discussing. And if somebody really needs to know how it's scored, then they can go to the proper channel so that they can go ahead and obtain our scoring, our individual scoring. That's just my preference.
Is there any other discussion from any of the other committee members? Any concerns?
I just have a comment and perhaps maybe a question. We were all given ample time to submit our scores. Is that correct, Mr. Campos, or somebody from the committee?
Correct. Had approximately 13 days to submit the scores.
Absolutely. So I think at this point, it'd be contingent to continue our business. And if that requires us to submit our scoring right now, then I'd say let's do it not to waste any more time. That's just
And I
my
agree
observation.
with you, Mr. Pace. I agree fully with you. And I could have sworn I had sent my scores in. I'm checking my emails again. So I'm gonna make sure I send that out. But my scores were gonna be perfect scores across the board for Ed Metro's grant proposal.
And Chairman Reyes, you could opt to give us the scores right now verbally, and we could include them. That has been the general practice in other meetings if you want to. And that way we can put them right now. We can let you know what the totals are. And if you all want to vote on these, or are you going to table it and vote to accept these until the next meeting? And the reason I ask is that I know the El Metro is waiting for the committee's recommendation, because they are waiting to propose the funding already to for their board for approval.
Yes, my score as submitted would be 100. I had scored them 20 for projects, 20 for project planning and implementation, 15 for project budget, 20 for project effectiveness and evaluation, and 25 for organizational preparedness. And I have it here in a PDF file that I will definitely forward to your offices right now with my signature on it. And so those are my scores, and I don't mind having them publicly read into the record. And I would entertain a motion that we approve Ed Metro's application so that we can continue this process.
With your score, their average score would go up to an 87.33. Just so that, let the record show that they're up to 87.33. You can update that. So as of right now, I do have three scorings that can be submitted to the El Metro for their board consideration.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Beckenheimer.
Oh, okay. I was having trouble getting in. Sorry.
No worries, Mr. Beckenheimer.
I have no video. I'd like to. I know you already asked for a motion, and my scoring was also 100 for El Metro also, and I'm guilty of not having submitted it. I've misplaced it and I found it this morning, and I haven't submitted it yet. My scoring. We're not talking about we're only doing with hotel motel right now, and El Metro.
Yes, we in a previous motion by Dr. Gaskin, seconded by Mrs. Thayes, we had approved the hotel motel applications as submitted.
Perfect.
And before that, we had accepted the minutes from the last meeting as read. That was motioned by Mr. Reyes, I believe, and seconded by Mrs. Thayes.
Thank you.
And that's all the actions that you've missed so far, Mr. Beckelheimer. And so as of now, is that you, just to correct me, that is a motion that you had just submitted?
I will say your suggestion of voting on El Metro, I will make that motion.
Is there a second? Is there a second by the committee?
I second.
Seconded by Mrs. Thayes. Is there any discussion on the matter from any of the commissioners, the committee members? Any discussion? If there's no further discussion, I'll go ahead and move to the previous question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. And please make the records show that Mr. Beckelheimer is present to this particular meeting. And I believe it is now 12:15, Mr.